want to thank 1199 CEU for allowing us to use the space. That is how you show solidarity in a concrete way. So we are embracing your solidarity and telling you whenever you have a struggle, we will be there for you. As you know, every time the capitalist class have crisis, they use a word on how they planning to resolve the capitalist crisis, and the word that they use is austerity. Austerity means the workers and the oppressed will pay for the capitalist crisis. That is what it means. And in that reality, in that context, people with disability and challenges are affected. Neoliberalism and austerity, it is a threat to human dignity. This meeting tonight, or this evening, it is to address how this inequality generated by capitalism affect people with disability. But we also need to put the issue of disability in the context of working class, because people who have disability are part of the working class. So let's keep that in mind. Our first speaker, and one that I enjoy very much to introduce, Andre Francis, who is a brother from the Caribbean, from Haiti, and is one of the most brave union leaders I had ever met, and a steadfast fighter for union, but a steadfast fighter for human dignity everywhere. He's one of the four or five leaders who were dismissed from 1151 from the school bus driver. So he's the recording secretary of the union and the grievance person. So, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. It is a pleasure for me to be here tonight, this afternoon. I want to thank Brian Shea for making me a part of this meeting. And I have a few things to say here, to talk about. It says on the paper here, today is the day to commemorate people with disability. Today is the day that we have to be happy in it as well. However, I want to say that since we all, according to the Bible scholars, we all have some kind of disability, one time or another. Because it says, they saying after the sins of Adam and Eve, we were all born imperfect. Whether it's visible or invisible, we have some disabilities. And I was talking to one of my brothers, disabled brother, the other day, and he told me the type of discrimination, the type of racism that exists out there. He told me that a person with disability don't even have half of the salary of the minimum wage salary in the workplace. This is unacceptable. This is outrage. We can't have that. Plus, when I learned some great things from my brother Brian Shea here, that the word handicap is one of the despicable word that they could ever use for people with disability. It's humiliating and everything else. But today, while we're here as a people, we want to tell all the big shots, the governors, the mayors, the President Obama, the lawmakers, that they ought to do something better with what they have for people with disability. It is true, in 1996, you guys had a struggle, collective struggle to win the ADA, American with Disability Act. But today we had to have the same struggle, maybe bigger than what they had back in 1996, to try to improve this American with Disability Act, to make it better than what it is now. Because if I can hear the type of racism that still exists with American with disability workers, we got a lot of work to do. At this point, I would like to ask everybody, everyone, to get in this fight, because it's all our fight. And if I'll say, same as with the people that says, if we fight together, we'll win. We all are disabled. Oh boy, the brothers and sisters like Brian Shea, my brother over here, Brian Root's wife, they really would like to be disabled like us, walking around and talking and doing all types of stuff. They'd like to trade places with us if they could today. Yeah, thank you. So we had to push for a union, if they're not in the union already, for everyone, with that minimum wages raised to $15. And we have to push for more dignity in the workplace. Things like I heard one of my sisters today says that some of them don't even have a sick day in the workplace. They don't even have a contract on disabilities, long-term disability and short-term disability or sickness and accident. People with disability is us. Anytime now, any one of us could become disabled, either by accident or by sickness or by birth, by existence. So it's the fight of everybody. It's the fight of everyone. We have some personal issues, some issues of our own. We were introduced I was introduced here as one of the four fire leaders from Veolia. I can tell you Veolia is treating people as a whole, people with disability everywhere, real bad, real nasty, a greedy company, and that's what they're doing with us at the job. They're trying to take away everything. They're trying to commit every single human rights, destroy families. And they have several promises to the city of Boston that, on the other hand, wants to save money. to come down and tear up families and break unions, especially our union. Since I'm standing here today, I take this moment to say that our rank and file, via my organ, send a message to Mayor Marty Walsh. And their message is that back on October the 8th, 2013, after the October the 8th, 2013, they listened to us leaders not to go out on strike because they fired their 4 prominent leaders in the union, and they were going to stand for it. They were going to go out. They want us to go out, and we told them not to do that. In order not to thank Marty Walsh campaign to be mayor. Otherwise, it was the setup of the city and the former mayor and Violia to have Walsh lost the election, to have Connolly beat him. Our international, of course, backed up Walsh. So did we at the last election. So did the local. But the message today is that today, since he's the mayor, he's doing all the deals. His police officers came and set up and frame up, continue to frame up with Violia to put some charges on our brother Kirschbaum. Since he's not doing elections anymore, we don't have to save his bid for elections. While we negotiate a contract with them, with Violia, that works for him. And Violia is trying to get away with every cards in the book, beat us like crazy on everything. So the rank and file told to tell the mayor that this time it's not going to be the same. If it doesn't stop Violia from breaking the contract, from busting the union, from firing union leaders, and if he doesn't call off his dogs, like this big police department, to drop off the charges on our brother Kirschbaum, and to give us a decent contract like he gave to the police, like he gave to the firefighters, that we're not going to stay like that. We're going to make sure the bus don't roll until all these things are met. I remember we were at the step of the courthouse on the 14th of July when we had to go in the arraignment of our brother, which they wrongly framed up and fired previously with the 3 of us. And I said that as a black union, the city and its racist people treat us like second-class citizens. But when I hear what my brothers, disabled brothers, are going to the workplace and to society, where they don't have all types of stuff and they don't have these things here, I'm asking, what class are they in now? Are they in the 3rd class or the 4th class? And shame on the politician that we are in 2014 we talked about the class of people. We were all created equal. It's in the same things that I said, that we all born with the disability, because if you look at the baby, and doctors proven that fact, that every single baby from day one, from the first day on earth, has one side actually bigger than the other side. Right then in itself is disability. That's why we all created equal. We all have to be treated with dignity and respect. And from today and on, we're not going to take this disrespect anymore. We're going to organize. We're going to put together the forces to fight the big shots, the people that oppressing us, stealing our money, and do this. And together, if we fight together, we win. If we fight together, we win. And thank you for having me today. Appreciate it.
Brothers and sisters, I'm pretty sure that you all will agree with me that capitalism is really bad for your mental health. I think we are all impacted on a daily basis. Our mental status is impacted by capitalist crisis. So in some way or the other, we are all struggling with our health. You know, we should say MIT, big university, yeah? I believe nuclear technology could be used to improve the quality of life of people, but rather is used to attack people in the Middle East. Let's say no a nickel, not a dime, no more money for genocide in the Middle East.
Right.
I want to invite to the podium Milagros Cancer, who is a leading member of Peace. She's here?
They're not here yet.
No, it's not here. And I don't have the other speaker. Okay, let me move. Maya. Maya is not here. Is John Kelly here? Hmm?
Yeah, back here.
Okay. We have John Kelly here with an organizing of Second Thought, who is in Massachusetts, a local chapter. And he will be speaking about the impact of all these austerity measures, neoliberalism on health care. Yeah. You want to hear me? Put it here.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I didn't expect to get up here so soon. But my name is John Kelly, and I'm with a statewide group called Second Thoughts Massachusetts. And we are basically a coalition resisting the legalization of assisted suicide and killings of people with disabilities, whether young children or adult children. And capitalism, of course, is right in the mix with this one, as with everything, in that assisted suicide is sort of the ultimate expression of neoliberalism. The trick is that, you know how people are always thinking, like, how do they get the people to vote against their own interests? How is that done? You know, it just seems so magical that people can vote themselves further into poverty and disadvantage. The trick with disability for capitalism is that our status is so low, so low, that the upper class is willing to lead the way on killing themselves rather than become like us. You know, and this is, I guess it's just the disabled version of the stockbrokers jumping out of the buildings in 1929. If that which gives you status has now been completely taken away from you, it's better to be dead with an intact ego and reputation than to go on living and somehow be disadvantaged and disabled. So the original idea for assisted suicide, of course, has been around for a long time. The Nazis started with disabled people. We don't usually get to talk about that in America because you're not allowed to mention any other countries, and you're not allowed to mention history except in the meaning of the trash can. And but no one really knows that because it wasn't controversial. I mean, that's the only thing I can really think of. It's become a little controversial now, but what we have now is laws written that are designed to save big health insurers money on people's care as they get older. And they use propaganda. They have a phrase called end of life. An end of life for a lot of disabled people is when any medical people get near us and start planning on putting a do not resuscitate order on us or denying us treatment or just ultimate denial of opportunity. And they're frank about it in some ways. One of the founders of the Hemlock Society, which is the upper class white movement to kill themselves rather than become disabled. Oh, I lost my track. That's CRS. That's a new disability I learned about the other day on the ADA Day, and that's called can't remember stuff. So, but that's a bit of a scattered introduction, but we've been very successful in fighting back against them. And disabled people are the natural leaders really on really most things because we're the most vulnerable. We're kind of like canaries in the coal mine, that things happen to us first. You know, austerity comes to medical care, you know, austerity comes to transportation, privatization comes to buses and the ride, for example, which isn't part of the regular T. And we have been successful in using arguments such as, you know, that this is a deadly mix with our present economic situation. We cite examples of people out in Oregon who were denied treatment for their prescribed drug but offered assisted suicide. We talk about how there's no science there. It's just all a big fantasy, something called being terminally ill. Many disabled people have been labeled terminally ill. It's kind of a joke in our community. We had kind of a shout out at a recent meeting down in Washington where people, you know, were shouting, 20 years, 40 years, my whole life. And so they have this fantasy of being terminally ill. And what they try to do is argue that you're actually in the process of dying. Like it's aid in dying. And you know, once you get your terminal diagnosis, which you can get with diabetes or a disability, if you don't want to, you know, if you want to stop taking care of yourself. You know, the person who stops treatment for, say, their diabetes or dialysis, they're terminal now too. And I have cards, I've got things that people could read. Unfortunately, so-called progressives love this issue. The ACLU loves this issue because this is an issue of autonomy of the individual And aren't we all just individuals looking for the best choice at the supermarket of life? And so there, many people are kind of caught up in this consumerist choice mentality. And as someone wrote, in Britain, it's choice is like the cuckoo of values, in that it's pushed all other values out of the nest. So I'll stop there. Thanks.
Long time ago, when I arrived to Boston, I met a young socialist, very brave, committed. His name, Brian Shea. And during that time, there was a major boycott of the movie theaters because they were not accessible. And at that time, Brian was part of an organization called Disabled People Liberation Front. And I remember participating in the many demonstrations, and in many occasions, they changed themselves to the door of theater, demanding accessibility for people with disability. It is for me an honor to introduce to you Brian Shea, my comrade.
Thank you, everybody. I will not take up much of your time. I just want to welcome everybody here. All right. Here's an it's all okay. Thank you so much. Okay, I just want to extend a welcome to everyone here, and this to what the organizers hope will be the next phase in the struggle against neoliberalism, against austerity, against people's lives being truncated and shortened, the way John has been talking about, and the way other speakers have been talking about, the way Andre has been talking about. We want to make sure that people coming here in the same room who have been doing the work of trying to defend the gains that working people as a class have won and that are being chipped away we need to be in the same room and talking to each other for that to start happening again. And as somebody had just said, we need to be able to step back and see the whole elephant of capitalism instead of feeling, parts of the elephant and trying to identify identify it by just the parts. Because so many times we're involved in struggles for our lives that take up all of our time and energy, and we can't see the context of what is going on with this. That is why that it's good to have to do that. We're organization is key for this. Organization starts with getting together, with sitting around and talking like this, it starts with sitting around and talking, but it also it also continues with doing, by having each other's back, by by walking picket lines together, by standing up for our four brothers who have been who have been fired by the city of Boston, and who have stood up for us all over the world, who have stood up, and it starts with that and continues with that. I want to thank 1199 for offering us this poll. I want to thank the organizers for. Okay. Mike's off. Yeah, Mike's. I want to thank the organizers for helping put together this meeting today, and I hope that what will come after this is done is we can keep this going, and we can have a we can organize things like what they're doing in Rhode Island, people's assemblies, for like confronting the powers that be, and we can create some real change. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. If I were not a member of his fan club, I would be yelling, asking to be a member.
Yeah.
Bill Bateman is from the I almost say All People's Congress, but it's the People's Power Assembly from Rhode Island. So, Bill, this is your turn.
I'm starting to feel, yeah, and physical issues, health issues this year, and as Alberto was saying, capitalism is killing us and our planet. And Brian said hopefully would continue on. And I wrote up a thing. I get up in the middle of the night. I wrote it and I forgot to send it to the printer. But basically, it was calling for human needs assemblies that, like, at various historic points, we created things that were needed and necessary in the movement and helped shape the movement in this country and push it forward. The All People's Congress, People's Anti-War Mobilization, and then the All People's Congress, Answer, and various other Peace for Cuba at critical times, at critical junctures. Right now, I'm watching this system. They might as well just take everyone who is not making a profit for a capitalist, which basically is, to me, the disabled, the seniors, the sick, the children and youth, and the unemployed, and put them all on a barge and just send them out in the middle of the ocean and sink it, because that's really how they feel, isn't it? Yes. They don't care at all. And I'm watching the safety net that's been built up over 80 years through the New Deal and the war on poverty be just destroyed piece by piece. And you would have what in downtown Providence, the Central Shelter, Hub Shelter, it's being destroyed because prominent business people have got some big plans for the area and don't want poor people around, don't want people of color around. And you should see them, people with the walkers, people in their wheelchairs, people who can walk but with tremendous struggle, walking to these scattered bus sites. I mean, it's just sick and it makes you want to cry. And so what I was saying to Brian is, and I wrote it up, and once we get all of our emails together, I'll send it to you. I'm proposing that the party take this on, and other groups that are involved here besides our particular party, that we be joining together in a national human needs assembly. When I say at the national level, those who organized here today and others nationwide, but also, like you said, the grassroots assemblies, right from the local issues in our neighborhoods to our citywide, statewide, and of course, national human needs issues, and basically to begin to develop our leaders and our issues over the winter, over the fall and winter. And our favorite date that that falls on a Saturday this year is the April 4th, the day of Dr. King's assassination. Falls on a Saturday this year, and we would like to see that a day of national action for human needs. If you don't think there's enough time for it to be such a thing as a national day, then come join us in Providence. What I brought with me is a poster, and we have more of them relating to that, what I was saying about our mobilization against poverty that we got started before I got ill. And then a flyer I brought with me, which is the guts of Dr. King's 63 March on Washington demand, the actual nuts and bolts, and the actual nuts and bolts of the Poor People's Campaign. Still very, very relevant things today, and can be helpful today. Thank you very much.
Money for jobs and health care. I want to call to the podium Milagros Cancel, who is a member of PEACE and also part of the organizing committee working with mothers who have children in special education and how that has been impacted by the capitalist crisis. Milagros.
Good afternoon, everybody. I speak English. I try and speak English, but I speak Spanish. I represent Comité Peace and Comité Timón, capítulo de Nueva York, de las personas y familiares de las personas con impedimento en Puerto Rico.
She's part of the coordinating committee working with people who have disability and challenges, students in the public school system, and also with some community and schools in Puerto Rico.
Estoy aquí para denunciar que el Comité Timón, capítulo de Nueva York, estamos denunciando la violación de derechos del gobierno de Puerto Rico para los niños con impedimento.
The Committee of New York want to denounce how the government of Puerto Rico is violating the human rights of children with special needs.
Ya que se cerraron 80 escuelas.
They closed 80 schools in Puerto Rico, affecting dramatically children with special challenges.
Antes de que se acabaran las clases en mayo.
Even before the classes end in May.
Cuando pudieron remediar, cerrar las 80 escuelas, diciendo que no había presupuesto.
The reason why they say they closed the school, it was because apparently the government of Puerto Rico have a financial crisis. It is part of the austerity program of the government of Puerto Rico.
686 millones.
$686 million in budget cut.
Le restaron 286 millones.
They discount 286 million from the public education system.
Cuando esos 286 millones se arresta al quitarle esa cantidad, están eliminando la educación especial, cerrando las 80 escuelas.
They closed in particular programs who were serving children with special needs.
Sin embargo, lo dejaron el restante de presupuesto para sus contratos y cosas que no son tan importantes como la educación.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, it's not that they don't have money, was that the money was reallocated to pay big money to consultants.
El 45% o más de esos niños que están en la escuela son de educación especial.
45% of the children in this 80 schools that were closed were children who needed a special education.
Y yo me pregunto,
And I ask,
¿cómo es posible que Puerto Rico dice que es un territorio americano?
how come Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States?
Y el gobierno está violentando los derechos de los niños y de las personas con impedimentos.
And the government is impeding and violating the human rights of children with challenges.
Este gobierno aquí en los Estados Unidos
And the government in the United States are neglecting taking care of children who have special needs.
no hace la acción o las represalias que debe hacer al ver que una persona de un gobierno sigue violentando los derechos.
She's also grieving about how come the federal government don't confront the government of Puerto Rico on issues around education.
No podemos permitir que se sigan violentando los derechos de los niños y de las personas con impedimento en el mundo entero.
We cannot allow anymore that people who have a special need, people who have disability, are treated as a second-class citizens.
Ningún gobierno debe seguir la estación, ningún ser humano, porque todos somos iguales en este mundo.
We shouldn't allow this human right violation anywhere.
Mi defensa hoy aquí no solamente es por PIS, por violaciones de derechos en la guagua.
I'm not here only to defend.
Hoy no solamente estoy aquí no solamente estoy denunciando para decir las violaciones que hay en la transportación escolar.
Yeah, she's here not only to denounce the amount of violation in school transportations in New York for the children.
También estoy para denunciar que el Comité Timón en Puerto Rico necesita el apoyo del mundo entero porque se están violentando los derechos de los niños y de las personas con impedimento cuando llevamos 33 años luchando en la educación de nuestros niños. Y yo soy parte de ese comité, de esa escuela.
Okay. And also she's here to ask your support for the children of Puerto Rico. Because for 33 years, they have been fighting for the right of children who have special needs.
Ahora mismo, en el verano, más de la mitad de los padres vinieron de Puerto Rico, vinieron a los Estados Unidos.
Half of the family parents came to the United States.
A buscar educación para esta población.
Seeking more education here in the U.S. So what is happening is the closing of the school is forcing migration of parents and family with children who have special needs.
Cuando aquí ahora en septiembre
And now, because now in September,
se va a agravar la situación porque si estamos, se va a agravar la situación.
yeah, what she's expecting is that in September things are going to be even worse. Because
No.
now we have a new wave of families coming to the United States when at the same time they're cutting money for public education in the United States.
No están haciendo para los que estamos aquí ya y el venir familia de Puerto Rico o estos niños que cruzan la frontera, se va a agravar la situación de educación en Estados Unidos, de alguna manera violentando los derechos sin que salgan a reducir a luz pública.
Okay, and this is an important issue she added to this commentary, and it's the children in the frontier, children who are in Texas trying to come to the U.S., migrant students who are coming, who are being now neglected, and perhaps if they are allowed here, that would exacerbate the problem of public education because there is not the capacity to serve all the people that are coming in.
Para que sepan un poquito del Comité Timón del capítulo de Nueva York, el por qué estamos establecidos aquí en Estados Unidos.
The reason why I want to speak a little bit about our coordinating committee in New York, so you know why they had established themselves in New York, although they are working also with Puerto Rico.
Es para darle soporte a Puerto Rico
It is to support Puerto Rico in the struggle for special education.
y ayudar a las familias que vienen de Puerto Rico que no conocen los derechos aquí porque todo ha cambiado.
And the way that this coordinating committee works is serve as a bridge for the families that are coming in, migrating because they have special needs of children.
Y unirnos con todas las organizaciones para que no se violenten más los derechos.
And to unify with everybody who struggle for human rights.
Llevamos 33 años, en noviembre de 1980.
That committee is 33 years old.
Y en Puerto Rico estamos muy pendientes a la educación y al gobierno ayudando de alguna manera a que no se sigan violentando los derechos y que se hagan cada día más leyes a favor de nuestros niños y de estas personas.
I'll give you a chance later. In Puerto Rico, they are very vigilant, monitoring that there is no violation, more violation of the human rights of students and children.
So, el capítulo el Comité Timón ya está aquí en los Estados Unidos para ayudar a que no se sigan violentando los derechos, no solamente en Puerto Rico, sino en el mundo entero y trabajar con las otras organizaciones.
So the reason why they are in New York is because as families are coming, they want to make sure that their rights are not violated, that their rights are protected, and that there is access to equal education.
No podemos permitir que se sigan violentando los derechos de las personas con impedimentos en el mundo entero. Tenemos que unirnos cada día más.
We should take a position of fighting for everybody in the globe, people with disability globally, to make a global struggle.
Esta es una lucha.
This is a struggle.
Y no importa que el capitalismo o quien sea en este mundo entero, no nos van a detener el ayudar a que no se violenten más los derechos humanos y de las personas con disabilidad.
She wants to make sure to say that capitalism and the capitalist crowd will not prevent us from unifying and fighting back.
Me siento muy orgullosa de estar otra vez con ustedes aquí.
She feels very proud about being in this room.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias. I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to make some announcements and to allow a brother to make an announcement.
Yeah, I'm Howie Brotman. Oh, from here. Hello? Oh, this way. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm Howie Rotman from 1109 SCIU. Used to be with ASME 1489, Boston Medical Center. Basically, I have the same history pretty much as the Boston, the school bus drivers. I got involved in 72, was active in fighting the segregation in 74. And so I'm coming from the union from the same place as the bus drivers, involved in the same struggles. But I want to mention right now, the I union is important to this discussion here because we represent the home care workers, which we call them the PCAs. And the Supreme Court decision, it was a Supreme Court decision that basically trying to bust the union, bust the ASME and the SIU, and people that are organized in the home care workers, to weaken the union of home care workers. These are the people that help the people with the handicapped people and the senior people. Because I think what Andrea was saying is that basically everybody will become handicapped at some point, which is true. Like once you get a certain age, most people have to, they can't afford to go into the nursing homes. So basically a lot of people are dependent on home care workers. These are the ones that organize the union. So what they're doing is they're attacking those people, the union for home care workers. And so basically we have 33,000. SAU 1199 has 33,000 home care workers. Right now, 18,000 pay dues. That means 14,000 just lost the ability to pay dues. They don't pay dues. They're paying agency fees. So now basically it means it's pretty hard to, it's even harder now to organize the people that care for the disabled and the elderly. So this has just happened towards the end of June. So so this ties into the, the 1199 and the ability to take care of handicapped, the disabled people. So we're going to have an action or a community fair. It's coming up. This is the announcement. It's August 16th, noon to 6 p.m. The flyers and all the tables here. It's sponsored by the Afro-American Caucus of SEIU, 1199, the wage action, the fight for the $50 an hour. SEIU is involved in that as well with the organizing McDonald's, and it's something that the school bus drivers have been very active in and so very supportive of. So they're going to be discussing that and healthcare issues as it affects disabled people and everybody, access to healthcare. So the community fair is going to be August 16th, noon to 6 o'clock. The beach right next to this Union Hall, which is called Carson Beach. That's where the fair is going to be. And we'd like the school bus drivers and the coalition that built this forum here, Workers' World Party, or the people that built this group here, if they could sponsor this, just call the number on the flyer. And you'll have a table, and we'll discuss. There'll be a lot of discussion about disabilities at the community fair August 16th, because it affects the PCAs and other people as well, who we organize. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming, using 1109 Union Hall, and in the future, hopefully you come back and continue using the facilities, 1109 facilities. But thank you, thanks a lot for coming in.
Unfortunately, we don't owe any bank. We know our bank owner. We have a problem. So there is a table with art produced by Nan Genger with a lot of topics on disability. She is a people's artist. And the money for those displays, for those artworks, if you buy them, is to support the cause of this event. So I encourage you to go to that table. Okay? Now, it is a pleasure to introduce to you a leading comrade from New York, Joyce Shediak, who is a contributing writer for Workers' World Party, Partido Mundo Obrero, newspaper. Also, she contributes to a lot of research and write on global research and other publications. So, Joyce.
Thank you. I was asked to give a report on people with disabilities in Gaza, and I will do that. Did I turn it off? Okay, thanks. You're talking, yes, don't talk. Anyway. Before I start, I'd just like to call to your attention two things. One is some copies of Workers' World, the latest two issues of Workers' World, which feature Gaza from the point of view of analysis. This is the latest one. And from the point of view of the worldwide demonstrations that have been had in horror with the bombing, the U.S. Israeli bombing. Is this better or not? Yeah. Okay. Of Gaza. Steve's telling me pretty close to my mouth. Thank you, Steve. He's getting good with sign language, huh? Very good. And the many demonstrations that I had around the world that you don't hear anything about. Also, from the point of view of an article on disability rights in this issue, which contrasts the way people with disabilities were treated in indigenous cultures that were societies that did not have class distinction, where a tiny few did not oppress the majority, and where each individual was regarded by whatever gift they brought to society and by the development of their personality. With capitalism, where disability is your inability to make money for the boss, and what that contrast and comparison might mean for our movement. And also the book Gaza, Symbol of Resistance, which was written about and in conjunction to the last major U.S.-Israeli invasion of Gaza in 2008 and 9. The real reasons why it happened, the real economic stake, what our stake is, the major demonstrations around the world once again, and it answers all the questions that are out there today about missiles, about tunnels, about what the international law really says, and so I recommend it because the Israeli government, the U.S. government, the major capitalist leaders in Europe, and the establishment media are all coming out with the same things right now. It's like they're marching in lockstep with the exact same lies about the Palestinian people. So, people with disabilities in Gaza. By the way, I'm dyslexic and hearing impaired. Of the 1.7 million people who live in Gaza, the World Health Organization estimates that about 15% have disabilities, which is about 255,000. According to the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics, 47% have mobility impairments, and the number increases yearly because of the frequent Israeli attacks. The second largest number of those with hearing impairments, followed by visual impairments, then learning disabilities. This is an overview, and it's based on what I could get, which is basically research. It's not based on talking with Palestinians with disabilities who live in Gaza, and I apologize for that because that's what we do, but that was not available. Even before the current bombing war, Gaza and its Hamas-run government was subjected to an economic war. The Israeli government withheld tax funds that it had collected in the name of Gaza and that belonged to the Gaza government, and there was a 6-year blockade. This paralyzed the economy. So the government in Gaza was never allowed by Israel and its U.S. backers to develop a government strong enough to provide services for people with disabilities. For example, the Gaza government can implement a law that the Palestinians, the PA, the Palestinian Authority has passed dealing with disability access and employment. When cities are bombed 3 times in 6 years and held under blockade for 6 years, there's no curb cuts in sidewalks for wheelchairs. There's no easy access to public buildings, and in fact, many of those buildings were blown into smithereens. There's no public transportation equipment to deal with disabilities and no audio traffic signals to alert the blind, even though all these things were passed into law. As for other needs, Gazans with disabilities must rely on charities for wheelchairs and prosthetic devices and other services because the government has not been permitted to get strong enough to provide for them. Other effects of the blockade. In 2011, Doctors Without Borders reported a chronic shortage of drugs and medical supplies. In 2013, Ma'an news agency reported leukemia patients without meds for 11 months. Can you imagine that for leukemia? Nonetheless, like all Palestinians, Gazans with disabilities remain strong and get on with their lives. Even though it's very difficult to be integrated into an economy that has been blown into smithereens 3 times in 6 years. Palestinians with disabilities say that they are producers, not consumers, and emphasize their contributions. Many survive by making handicrafts. There is a radio program called Nights of Will. It's a local radio station in Gaza. It's the first of its kind in the Middle East and was created in 2006 as a voice of people with disabilities, run by reporters with disabilities. The station aims to change the attitudes and perceptions about people with disabilities while also assisting people with disabilities to become leaders in their communities. The 4 visually impaired women journalists who run the station do this despite the fact that their only equipment is Braille typewriters, slate, and styluses. They don't even have equipment to access the net due to the blockade, though they continue. There is a Paralympics committee in Gaza, and Palestinian Paralympics athletes have won gold, silver, and bronze medals in many championships worldwide. They persevere despite the fact that their sports facility, the disabled union building, was completely destroyed during the Israeli 8-day bombing in November 2012. So this is what Palestinians with disabilities in Gaza started with before last month. This was the condition before last month. And now Israel is raining terror from land, sea, and air on people trapped in a 25-mile-long strip of land surrounded by concrete wall and fences and with the borders closed. The bombings are made here by such giants as Raytheon, GE, Lockheed, Boeing, the bombs, the airplanes, the technology, the drones, the airplane engines, although some of the stuff is made in Israel in joint ventures with U.S. Companies. Now, the U.S. and Israel claim that the bombing is aimed at Hamas, to get Hamas out. But it's clearly aimed at the civilian population. As of yesterday, over 1,400 people were killed, at least 8,200 wounded, 80% civilian, according to the UN, and children are killed at the rate of approximately 1 child an hour. Israel is leafleting areas, telling people to leave or be bombed, giving them very short notice. What about those bedridden? What about those too weak to walk? How can you drive a wheelchair or negotiate crutches through rubble? Unable to move around, it's impossible for people with mobility impairments to access humanitarian aid, which is required under international law. So this is a war crime. Additionally, places people traditionally seek shelter from bombing, like UN schools, have been bombed. So if you get this notice to move out of your area, and maybe you can, where do you go? You go to a UN school. They're marked on the roof. And Israel knows, it's a little area, and Israel knows where everything is there. They certainly know where the UN schools are. Well, one UN official said he gave Israel the GPS coordinates of a school being used as a shelter 17 times, and it was still bombed. At least 100,000 children have been made homeless. Children under 7 have seen 3 major bombings. That's what their life has been. What about the post-traumatic stress disorder that these children are suffering and will suffer? And who will help them through it professionally? There are no resources under these conditions. Now, Gaza's only power plant was bombed the other day, and Gaza now receives, if you're lucky, you receive 2 hours of electricity a day. Medicine and safe water are increasingly scarce. And we know this is not just about lights, and that's important enough, but electricity pumps water. And children, the aged, and people with disabilities, dehydration is life-threatening to them first. Now, you know, this is a desert. It's a desert on the water, but it's a piece of sand. That's all it is. So it's a very dry area. And there are many people who need the electricity to plug in devices that keep them alive. What about if you're on a respirator? What about if you have to recharge the device that keeps you alive or keeps you going? And a major sanitation crisis is brewing from this bombing of the power plant as well, because electricity is used to pump out sewage. The United Nations has reported incidences with hospitals, health centers, and ambulances. Schools and socks of humanitarian aid have been bombed. Facilities for disabled people have been targeted. On June 12th, at least 4 people were killed in a bombing strike on a rehab center for the disabled. There are food shortages. Basic foodstuffs in Gaza, like tomatoes, now cost 5 times more than 3 weeks ago. What about people who must be on special diets and eat certain foods? What about diabetics? Now, people with disabilities are protected under international law and under most domestic laws. But Israel makes no move to ensure the protection or evacuation of those with disabilities. There is no access to medical and rehab services in a secure environment. These are war crimes. And as we speak, in addition to many people being killed, as we speak and have this meeting right here, long-term impairments are being caused by Israeli airstrikes, artillery, unexploded ordnance, and other hazards. And also the pollution that was mentioned that this ordinance causes, long-term pollution, which the Palestinians in the camps of Lebanon suffer from. So what does this mean? What does this mean for us? Why are we talking about this here today? Why is it important that we know about, think about, and incorporate what's going on with other people around the world? Well, for one thing, we're a multinational working class. We go back and forth. We have relatives. We know what's going on. We're part of the world. Another thing is that we face giant international corporations. What about Veolia? It operates all over the world. What does it do in Palestine? It runs on the West Bank the apartheid buses, which only Jewish Israelis can use. So don't we have the same enemy as the Palestinians in a very, very concrete way? This is the age of austerity, and this is the title of our meeting here today. Well, what does that mean? What happens in the age of austerity? The international corporations are not, that Wall Street is not just Wall Street. The companies that we face are not just in our cities, they're everywhere. And then to fight them, we need an international perspective. We need to bring this into our strategy and into our tactics if we want to win. We need to get that solidarity and give that solidarity. What else? Where does the bombs come from? Where does the money to support Israel come from? They say $3.7 billion a year in weapons, in U.S. weapons, goes to Israel to do this to Gaza. Who pays for that? We do. This is tax money that goes for this. So the same U.S. government that backs the corporations which are responsible for the austerity against us, takes the tax money that the corporations don't want to pay, and we pay, and uses it for bombs to bomb the Palestinian people. Isn't this of interest to us? We're looking for more money, the money that we deserve. Don't we have every interest in saying, stop U.S. aid to Israel? Use that money to meet human needs? Don't we have an obligation to say that? Doesn't that make perfect sense? And who benefits? It's Wall Street that benefits. You know, Wall Street benefits when the Palestinians, who are revolutionary people in the Middle East, are quelled so they can keep a better grip on the oil empire in the Middle East. You know, the weapons manufacturers, which are linked in interlocking directorates with all the big media here, which is why they don't tell the truth about Palestine. Every time a bomb is dropped on Palestine, they make money. So we have the same enemy, it's just different fronts. So when we raise our voices and demand access, demand money for services, money for housing, medical care, it's also in our interest to say stop all aid to Israel. It's also in our interest to say occupy Wall Street, not Gaza.
The second part of this meeting is going to be comments and questions, and I go to let Brian to share that. That will be my participation. Come on, Brian.